episode of The Top of the Bottom. My name is Jay, and I'm here with Jeremiah Jordan. And today, we have a special guest. We have Jonesy.
Jonesy,
host of the
podcast. Welcome, man.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you here.
It's good to be here.
So you're host of the Weird AF News. You're also a comedian.
Yeah.
What other things do you do out here?
I play softball.
Nice. Softball.
What position?
I'm a shortstop.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah. I really love it.
Derek Jeter's favorite?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a I'm a good player, man. Yeah.
You ever make those diving stops?
I do that. I still do that. Yeah, I'll probably be able to do that for another 5 or 10 years, and then that'll be that. But you know, it's tough when at my age, you know, you probably shouldn't be bleeding and paying to do so. So like, I don't get paid to do these things. I pay to play, and then sometimes I'm bleeding. So,
Right.
so it's sort of a strange way to live your life on the weekends. But yeah, so I'll be playing tomorrow. We have a championship game tomorrow. So.
Oh, nice. Where are you going to be playing at?
I play in Santa Monica on Sundays, and Mondays, Tuesday nights alternate. I play in Hollywood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I try to keep active this way. Yeah, I was never good at going to the gym or like running. I just find it so boring. I'd like to get my activities out and my exercise in competition of some sort. I just kind of need that from my brain. I don't know why, but I've always been like that. I can't get on a treadmill, man. I'd rather just stab myself in the
Oh, wow.
It's so boring. I don't know how people do it. I'm like, you get out there and run. I'm impressed. I don't have that kind of brain. Anyways, that's a lot about sports.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're playing hard, you never know when a scout's around and you get $700 million contract.
It's never too late.
That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I could retire the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or now you could do it out of love, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
Passion.
Yeah, you used to do it disingenuously, now you do it genuinely, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff I do out here is just like acting and writing. I like to act here and there and audition and I like to write. I like to write scenes. I like to write shorts and stuff like that. I like to write sketches. I really get excited about writing something, and then putting it out there and seeing the reaction it gets. In fact, this next week I wrote a comedy scene that's going to be done live in front of an audience. A friend of mine runs this show once a month where actors can come and you can do a monologue, or you can bring in a scene, and you can act it out in front of a theater, and there's like 100 people there that are watching. So, a lot of people bring in famous scenes to do from famous plays and whatnot, or movies. But every time I've gone, which has probably been like, I don't know, a dozen times, I've written something, and then I bring it in, and either I'm in it, you know, or I cast it. Like if I've written some scenes for just women, and so I would find some female comedians, actors I know, and put them in it. So this Tuesday, I got another one, and I'm so excited to see. It's like an experiment for me. I like write some funny lines and some funny activity going on in the scene, and I can't wait to see how the crowd reacts. I really get a boner off that. It's very exciting for me. That's why I like stand-up comedy so much, because I love to see this reaction in real time from people. You know, how are they going to react to this idea that I put out there? And if you're doing ideas that are kind of like a little boundary pushing too, so you like that. To me, that's super fun. That's super fun. And the older I get, the more I push boundaries. I find, Yeah,
you start to care a little less what people think of you.
I do. Yeah. I take risks more because I know how to write a joke. I know how to get a laugh. You know, and at some point you're like, okay, I know how to get a laugh. Okay, so that's not exciting me anymore. Can I get a laugh by being a little controversial or being a little more personal and telling a real grimy secret about myself or something? You know what I mean? Can I get a laugh out of that? Or can I get a laugh by sharing my pain? You know, stand-up comedy gets more difficult the more personal you get. But the laughs are more potent the more personal you get. And your act is more memorable the more personal you get. Like any comic get up there and talk about dating. You know, we've all heard those airplane jokes. But then when you hear a comic get up there and talk about, like, I do a joke about the first time I tried meth, like, and it's a very personal story, right? And I'm kind of oversharing, right? You know what I mean? Like, this is like TMI, some people would say, but people don't forget it. They don't forget that bit, man. And then at the end of the show, they're like, "Oh my God, you're the guy that did the meth joke." You know what I mean? Like, not that I want to be known as the meth guy, but like, I got other jokes too about getting a vasectomy, and but like when you get real specific and personal, it's more potent. It affects people. It moves them more, and so that's where I've been going the last few years in my stand-up and on the scenes, the stuff that I'm writing, getting personal, and it's rewarding for me. And sometimes it don't always work. Sometimes people are just turned off by this; they're disgusted or offended,
Right.
and that's okay. That's okay, because I'll just try again with something else.
Yeah.
Some stuff is not okay. Some stuff seems to be okay.
That's very interesting mindset.
Definitely.
I want to know. So, can you tell when a joke is bombing?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And when
I
that-
can.
You
You
imagine
can.
there's
I
this
can.
comic that just can't. He just goes
There's
for
a
it.
lot, bro.
Yeah.
There's an epidemic of comedians that have no awareness. It's crazy to me. Like they get off stage like, I'm like, did you? You were there, right? I'm like, you think that went well? Okay. I mean, there's a lot of just deluded people. And we've all seen that, right? You've all seen the person that goes up at karaoke and just is so bad, but they're there every week, and they think they're a star.
And they're the
They
loudest
think they're a
person
star.
there.
There's a guy
I
on
think
TikTok.
we know a guy.
Oh yeah, we know it, like, dude, exactly like that.
The guy on TikTok, there's a guy on TikTok that's been, he's kind of popular. He's an old dude with really long hair, long hair mullet, and he's doing songs on there. He's singing karaoke on there, basically. He thinks he did during the Super Bowl. He did his own halftime show,
Oh my God.
Oh really?
like live stream, like
Wow.
like don't watch Kendrick Lamar, watch me sing, Motley Crue or whatever he was singing. And he's really bad. But first of all, you feel for him because the old guy with a mullet, and there's something weird about him. You can't look away, right? Right. But you kind of like want him to do well too, because you see that he's living for this, right? So he's really showing you what his real passion is, although he's not very good.
past
And then
his
of course
prime.
the comments are amazing. The comments are gold, because a lot of people are making fun of him, and then other people were like, he's so bad, but I can't stop watching, and I'm just rooting for him, So there's just a lot of people out there like that, and of course there's many comedians that are completely delirious. I'm hard on myself. If it doesn't go real well, I'm off stage, and I'm like, what? How do I make this better? How do I make this better? I've done many shows where people say, you did a great job, and I know they're just being polite. I know when I do badly, and I know when I do well, and so I'm a harsh critic for myself. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it keeps driving me to get better. I'm constantly rewatching and re-listening to my sets. I do it almost every day. Like I do a show, then the next day I'm listening, and I'm like, okay, what can I do better? And I think the comedy community could use more of that, personally, because there's a lot of bad out there, and they're unaware.
So mid-set, you're bombing. How do you change it up? What do you do? How do you
How do you
switch?
save it?
Well, firstly, what I would do, and everybody handles it differently. Firstly, I would address it, because I've created tension in the room by sucking, right?
Right.
And maybe I'm not sucking. Maybe I'm just not for them.
Right.
Maybe the jokes that I'm doing, I struggle with certain crowds. Like I'm not good with a college crowd at all. They're aliens to me, and I'm aliens to them. We're not even speaking the same language. I'm doing shows for 19-year-olds. It's not going to go well. Probably not. So when you're not doing well, tension has been building. So in order to one way to release that tension is to just acknowledge that this isn't going well, and so everybody goes, oh, okay, he's aware, because a lot of times they don't think the guy's aware, so now they feel extra bad.
Oh no!
Well, they feel bad that it's going, and then they're like,
Yeah.
oh, and he doesn't know. They're thinking, oh, he doesn't even know that it's going bad. This poor lost, deluded soul is up there. So you want to let them know, no, look, all right, I understand I'm not for you, all right, and then that will usually get a laugh. And then at that point, you can go a couple of ways with it. You could start doing some crowd work, because if you think that your material isn't going to cut it, maybe talking to the crowd can get you somewhere. Now, I'm not very good at crowd work, so I usually just want to do material. Fortunately, I have a couple hours of material that I can draw from. So what I'll probably do instead of crowd work is acknowledge that it's not going well, and then say, hey, let me try this bit. I think you might be able to. We can find some common ground with this topic right here. I'll just tell them like it is, and then I'll just try it out. And then if that doesn't go well, I'll do it again. And if it's just really going south, at some point you kind of got to pull the plug, and just hey, this has gone great. I got another 5 minutes, but I'm gonna give the time back to the room. We got another comic after me. You could do something like that too. Depending on what your contract says, if you
that's true.
If you're contracted to eat the time, I mean, I've done shows where it's 45 minutes and the crowd is completely out of it. They're talking, they're not paying attention to the show, but I've been paid to do 40 minutes or whatever, and I'll just go, I'll just keep saying my lines, and no one cares, and I'm like, I'm just at that point, I'm just working to get paid and get off the stage, and I just know that wasn't my night. Whatever had happened, whatever had happened, it just crumbles. Stand-up comedy shows they're delicate.
Do you come in knowing what you're gonna say and talk about, or do you have to go off and improvise?
No, I don't like to go off and improvise. No, I have stuff that's written and ready to go. What I might do is come in with an idea. I'll probably do this joke, and this joke. But then as I go, I can see, oh, okay, they're not that kind of crowd. So instead of this one, let me do this other one after this. And so I'll switch gears within the show itself, and I'll just kind of pivot to something else that I think, maybe a joke kind of offended them a little bit. And I can say, oh, they're sensitive, all right. So I'm not gonna do this other joke after this that I was gonna do, which was dark or something, or maybe I'm not offensive, but sometimes I'm dark, and you can kind of sniff out a crowd that's not gonna like your dark material. Dark material ain't for everybody. Yeah. I love it. If it was up to me, I would always just do dark comedy. But I understand it's not for everybody. Yeah. And so in order to sort of make a career or make money and get booked and stuff, you have to be able to do multiple things in multiple crowds. So I try to be able to I got a clean set. I can do clean set. I got material for an older crowd. I got a material not like for college kids, but a little 20s. I can kind of make it work a bit.
So you're versatile.
Yeah, an ethnic crowd, an all-black crowd, an all-Mexican crowd, a gay crowd. I've done all of that stuff, and I can make all of that work for the most part. I have jokes that would kind of work for all of them, and that's kind of where you would like to be, I think. Yeah. But that takes a long time to get there. You have to do a lot of shows and experimenting in those environments. You got to go to a gay bar. I did that in New York City. I would go down to Christopher Street, and I would do shows at those gay bars, and hard to make that work at first, but I figured it out, and then I would be in Harlem. I'd do a black show, and at first, imagine not doing well, bombing. That doesn't feel very good, and then you're scared to go back,
especially in Harlem.
But you gotta push yourself. Yeah, you gotta be like, I'm gonna get this crowd one of these days. I'm gonna figure this shit out, and all of that is learning as you go to deal with all sorts of situations, just like any other profession. If you're a plumber, you learn how to fix a sink, then you learn how to fix a sink in a kitchen that's like a crazy sink that's always being used, and then you learn how to fix a sink in a cabin in the woods or a trailer, or what I mean. Like you start seeing, this is the same. I'm doing the same thing just in a different environment. I have to adjust? How do I make this work? And so it's just like that in stand-up comedy, in my opinion.
You think in one of those sets where you say the crowd is just kind of out of it, if you just stop talking, you just start flossing to make the crowd laugh, you think you'd still get paid for that?
Oh, well, not for my flossing. I can't seem to do that dance, man. I don't know.
It's a little tricky.
And I felt like a for not being able to do it. I'm like, everyone can do this, but I can't do this. What is wrong with me?
This cancer patient kid doing it, and you're like, damn.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do physical humor and your words aren't working, You know, you want to do some Three Stooges, like smack yourself in the face with a tennis racket or a pickleball racket, or, yeah. That's not my style, but yeah. I love how you're very fascinated about when it doesn't go well.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
see that. You like it. You like it when people you're like, this guy's bombing, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You're very cruel. Your generation is so cruel, man. It's so cruel.
The awkwardness is funny.
It's all irony and cynicism.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah,
that's what the show's all about.
Literally, yeah. We got to keep it clean, too.
I'll tell you right now, this has gone on. You might find this fascinating then. So a trend the past few years, and I think it's because your generation likes this, the roast battles have become very popular. And that's because you motherfuckers are mean.
That's true.
Your whole generation loves to see people get roasted. So I don't do those roasts, but I've seen the last few years, these roast battles they're very popular. If they have one, usually it'll sell out. And I was always confused by that. But then I learned why. Oh, this is why it's popular, because there's a whole generation they're just a bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
And so they like to watch other people be assholes to each other. I thought it was cruel, man. I'm like, how could people? Oh man. I would I'm not gonna do that. First of all, I don't want someone saying that shit about me. I don't want to say that about another human being. Like, you gotta have a certain cold heart about yourself to want to do that and enjoy that. Now I'll get on stage and make fun of myself.
Right.
I got no problem doing that, but I wouldn't be that mean to myself, but I'm mean enough. Self-deprecation has always really worked well with comedy, of course. But I wouldn't want to get up there and say mean shit about another person.
Hey, fatty, you're fat.
Yeah. Have you ever had to confront somebody that got up and was like upset about something you said?
Oh, heckler.
Yeah.
Let's talk about hecklers.
There you go, heckler.
Yeah, that does happen, and there's ways to handle that. If you're very skilled, you can make it funny somehow, and if you're patient, you can make it funny somehow. And at first, I used to try to do that, and I'm at the point now where I don't really want to deal with a heckler. I'm not interested in engaging. So I will ignore the heckler for as long as possible, or I'll just say, hey, shut the fuck up. Or I'll say, I got it from here. Like, I just don't want to engage. So I try to move on. And then if they don't cooperate, I don't have the patience to work with you.
Call security to beat his ass.
So, yes, I will tell them to get the fuck out. My Boston attitude will go. I'll go from 0 to 100, and I'll just start laying into them like, you need to shut the fuck up, because if you don't, I'm gonna have you removed, and you know what I mean. It's gonna be embarrassing for you. It's gonna be really embarrassing for your date. All right, you just spent this money to be here. Just shut the fuck up. And then I'll ask the crowd, would you like this asshole to shut? And they'll all clap, and so now I got them on my side, and I'll try to do that. Now it's not funny. Maybe it's kind of funny. I guess some people think it's kind of funny.
I think it's funny.
I think it's hilarious. Oh, yeah.
But I can't. You start to engage. I had a situation in a show that I did in Dallas last year where the heckler was a friend of the owner.
Ooh.
Okay. Privilege,
that
entitlement.
Makes it a little bit
Sure.
Yeah.
And he felt that he could be part of the show. And so he started, and now I know he's a friend of the owner because, just because the owner was talking to him and said that, and I it was like, my buddy's here, so-and-so, oh, nice to meet you, and he was here with his date. I think it was his birthday or something. And then he just, his heckles it was kind of bad. The first one I ignored. The second one I kind of go, yeah, and kind of like just glossed over it. And then the third one was like a biblical reference. And at that point, I'm like, bro, you're not doing anything to help this show. Just could you please stop? At this point, and then he proceeded to stand up and walk towards the stage. And then at that point, I just go, fuck, just take another step here, man, and I'm gonna fucking knock your teeth out. Do not come any closer. You understand? You don't get to get up and approach the fucking stage. You need it. And then so I had him removed, the owner's friend. And it wasn't funny. It was horrible. Everything about it was
Oh,
bad. I
no.
hated it. I don't want to deal with that. You know, this is a person though that's something wrong with this person.
Not just drunk.
I would have been
Like
dying.
you're gonna
laughing.
yell out a biblical thing at a comedy show. You know, not the place for any of that shit. You know, it doesn't help. And then you're gonna approach the stage. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I'm not playing.
He's gonna pray for you. He's gonna pray over you.
You know, we live in a world where people just stab people for no
That's
That's
true.
yeah.
reason.
That's
So
crazy.
someone's walking up to the stage. You know, what do I do? Just fucking don't. You know, don't get up here. Because I thought that's where it was going. And he was very drunk, guy.
Was the
Oh,
owner
that
around there
explains
too, like seeing all that go down?
Yeah, the owner eventually came in because it was a commotion was caused, and the guy left with his lady, and you know, I'm sure the owner wasn't pleased at what went down. But this is, you know, this kind of stuff happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't like it, you know. I don't want to deal with it. So, and now I get a little impatient, and so I wish I was better at that. So I watch some comics deal with hecklers, and they really are good at making it funny. And sometimes I wish I could do that. But I just want to tell my jokes. I spend so much time writing jokes. I spend, an inordinate amount of time crafting jokes. Like, I just think, I look at them like a song. I craft them like a song, man. And to me, it's what I'm all about. I really nerd out about writing a joke and crafting it and getting it to a place where, you know, I make it longer and longer and longer. And now I got this 8-minute joke about Trader Joe's. Wow. Fucking cool, right? Who talks about Trader Joe's for 8 minutes? I do. I got a 10-minute joke about the dollar store. I mean, I worked on that joke. It took me years, 2 years to get this dollar store joke, right? Trial and error. I mean, putting it on stage 200 times. Easily. More to get it to this place. And it's my little baby. It's like someone who works on a song. And I just want to do that. I don't want to do anything else but the shit I worked hard on. I want to just do that. You know what I mean? I don't want to deal with hecklers. I don't want to do crowd work. I want to do what I do and what drew me to comedy, you know, and stand-up comedy, which is writing jokes and doing them and presenting what I think is funny in the world, in my opinion, in the world. And so that's what gets me off. And I don't like to do anything else. Some comics do, but I do not. Some comics don't even want to do jokes. They just want to do crowd work. And you know, there's a place for that. But I just don't do that.
That sounds very intimidating. But also imagine Beyonce is singing and then there's a heckler. Like we never see that with musicians, you know.
Yeah.
We never see it.
Yeah.
It's
I
always
mean,
comics. It's
I
just
think
a
all
special.
the noise around, they're pretty much drowned out in the crowd too.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
true,
That
yeah.
helps, right?
Everyone's having a good time
All
except
you
that
see
guy.
is like lights and everything. So
Yeah.
kind of makes you seem like
That
you're
helps.
there.
And music is like it's a different beast in that, like, the crowd, when you're in a music show, like, you can talk to your friend and no one tells you to shush, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even if you go to a bar and they have live music, the band doesn't go, hey, what's the conversation over there? You know what I mean? More important than what's going on up here? You know, you can just talk and the band doesn't address it because it's not distracting. It's louder than you. It's, you know, and you can stand, you can walk around, you know, walk back and forth. And there's a band. You can't get up, walk back and forth. You know, you see at a live comedy show, if someone gets up and goes to the bathroom, it can be distracting, and the comedian will be like, "Going to take a."
They call
I've
you
seen
out, right?
those,
They'll call you out. You know, like, hope it comes out okay. You know, or whatever. You know, there's a bunch of these stock lines that comedians will say. Yeah. So anything is a distraction. So at a comedy show, you're shushing people. It's just a completely different vibe. You know, you're not supposed to talk amongst each other. I think there's a lot of people that don't know that. Sadly, but
Zero etiquette.
yeah. Strange that you would do that. You would pay money to go listen to somebody talk, and then you talk with your friend the whole time. I never understood that, but it does happen. Obviously, it's just a different vibe completely of a live music show, of course.
It's like that's their environment for a therapy session. It's like a comedian telling his jokes around a crowd, and they're just like, you know, talking about their latest breakup.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. You know, it serves the purpose for that. You know what I mean? It's very important. it serves a very important purpose, I think, stand-up comedy, in that it's a way to in real time take the temperature of the culture on certain issues. You know what I mean? You'll see that happen. A comedian gets up and will talk about topics that are going around, topics that we've all talked about with our friends and our family and our coworkers. It's topics that some of us has affected our lives personally. And you can tell immediately by the reaction of the crowd where we all stand on this topic. You know, if it's dividing people, you know, oftentimes politics, if you talk about politics, it divides. You can feel that divided energy in the room happen in real time, you know. So stand-up comedy is a real fabulous way to test the culture on what's going down and how they feel about it. You know, it's super important. It serves a super important purpose. Like if you wanted to learn about if you go to a new country and they speak English, if you wanted to learn how they feel about certain things, you could, I guess, watch the news maybe, but the news is always, I don't know, a lot of the news is like filtered. It's paid for by big business and there's agendas and stuff. Do you always get an honest vibe of the culture by watching the news? Probably not. But if you go sit down at a comedy club that night and you'll get a very accurate sort of gauge on how the culture feels about dating, about Trump, about whatever it might be. Eggs, the price of eggs.
Exactly.
That's insane.
You know, sexuality, gender.
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's. What do you think about Trader Joe's? This is, you'll get that just by watching the reaction. You know, it's super, super valuable, man. And, I think it's really important.
And the amount of comics that come during that show that talk about certain things, right? Like
sure.
Right,
sure. Because you're always going to get, not always, but you'll get comics that'll like to push the boundaries a little bit. You know, every show needs one of those, in my opinion. Now, I know, like, a lot of people get offended. You know, this is that whole thing is just so immature. It's like, be an adult, right?
Right.
You know, a comedy show, you're going to see 5, 6 different comedians. One of them is going to push a button of yours, maybe, or rub you the wrong way. You know, you don't need to make us think about it. Just shut up and wait for the next one. You know what I mean? It's like a music festival, right? Yeah. There's a lineup there. You don't want to see all the bands.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? You want to see, maybe you're like, oh, the 5 o'clock and the 7 o'clock is what I want to see. You don't go to the 3 o'clock and be like, boo! Horrible! And write a review. You're just like, that band ain't for you, bro. So wait for your band or wait for the next one. Be an adult. Anyways, there's a lot of that going on. So in a comedy show, you'll have a comic that'll, I hope every comedy show should have a comic that pushes buttons a little bit.
Yeah.
The crowd needs a little bit of that. I think that's healthy, you know. And then, of course, a wholesome comedian's nice too. Mm-hmm. You know, there's always the married comic who talks about the kids and that. And you get a little bit of that. That's boring to me, but that I see crowds love that too because people are married, they have kids, they resonate with that. Doesn't resonate with me. I got no kids, you know. So, but
child-free life.
There's a place for that, you know. So you should be open to all of it, and it's all important, and it's all very valuable within the context of a 90-minute comedy show. Mm-hmm. You know.
Okay, and
I bring that up because that was something we talked about before, being childless. Remember, we were giving advice to a 13-year-old who wanted to be pregnant.
Oh,
it's pretty random, but it pulled up.
This was a guest on your podcast?
There was a guest.
Or you just been hanging out at high schools?
No, Diddy.
It was a guest.
We have a segment called Core Queries, and I don't tell him what they are. I search Quora and I pull out the worst inquiries I can find, and one of them was
it's like a question that someone presented.
Yes,
yeah, someone asked
I'm 13 years old and I want to be pregnant. What do I do?
Oh no, okay.
And we were like, I was like, well, being childless is great, so just continue to be childless.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel about it. I mean, I'm very biased. But I got a vasectomy 5 years ago, and so I've committed to not having kids.
Yeah.
To not
and at this
reproducing.
point,
Yeah,
they can actually reverse that, right?
Yes, they can reverse it as well. Of course. But I'm not gonna go there. I don't.
You're
uh,
ending
No
the bloodline
regrets.
here.
yeah, that's it, right?
It's over.
What is that? Oh, I just learned about this. Is a kind of an old phrase, but I just learned about this because I saw it. I saw it on. Where did I see it? Some woman wrote on. I'm into the dink lifestyle.
Oh,
Dink.
the
Dink lifestyle. You heard about the
Dink?
dink lifestyle? So I had to look this up.
Dink.
It's I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's
That's right.
double income, no kids.
That's
right.
right.
Dink.
Yes,
Wa-
yes.
wa-
Double
was
income,
looking
no
for a
kids.
partner who's into the dink lifestyle. This girl wanted to find someone who didn't want any kids, who also had a job, double income, no kids, so that they can travel the world and enjoy their lives, maybe have a dog
That sounds great.
or two. And I thought, I never seen it phrased like that, but I was like, yeah, I'm into that. Yeah,
The
dink,
dink life,
Dink.
the dink life,
not the twink
You're like,
life.
I'm a dink.
not the twink life.
Yeah.
That's a different type.
That's a different,
Well, there's
different
probably
acronym.
a lot of twinks that are into the dink
Into the, probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
on all levels.
All levels. It's like very broad. It's very general.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a
Anybody,
dink. You know.
Yeah, even twins.
I think there's this. It's funny because there's this whole, there's this whole thing. I see countries freaking out that the population is going down, and I've covered this on my podcast, Weird AF News, that some countries have come up with these programs to get people to have kids. Like they'll offer you,
Oh yeah.
they'll offer you a monthly stipend or some sort of bonus.
It's seen.
Like Japan was doing this.
Oh.
I think China got involved.
Yeah,
with it.
Especially China.
Japan,
They had their
China.
propaganda like it's your civil duty to have kids.
Yeah.
It's your
and we're-
civil duty to
and-
have children.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
and it was
they've
Japan
done
that had a mandatory one kid, right? And they just
They
put
went
it to
to
two.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
went to two. Doubling
this-
the number of people that
Yeah.
are produced.
There's this whole thing about we're running out of people. Meanwhile, maybe I'm dumb, but I don't know. I look around, I see, this is 7 billion people. This is like kind of like too many.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the same
That's what
thing.
they're saying.
I
Overpopulation
don't think
is
we're
way
like
too much.
lacking people.
We need
You
less
know what I mean? I
people.
get on the 10 freeway. I see we're not lacking.
It's
people.
hella traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
You
we
know
need a
what I
few
mean?
more pandemics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would work.
I mean, I was saying survival of the fittest. You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're
the
big
older
fans of
people.
Darwin. huh?
Yeah,
Big fans of-
Darwinism. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I cover a lot of stories where people are just,
I found out about the
Yeah.
dink lifestyle because I had seen a tweet from Matt Walsh criticizing it, saying these people are
Yeah,
selfish.
Matt Walsh is one of these people, and
Selfish.
Elon Musk is one of these people.
Yeah.
And they for some reason, these guys think that we should be making more slaves for billionaires.
Oh.
I don't know what their agenda is, because anybody who's having an Earth experience right now, it should be obvious to you that there's too many people.
Yeah.
In so
Yeah.
many ways. In so many ways. Oh, why am I paying so much in rent? Too many people. Why am I stuck in traffic? Too many people. Why is
Yeah.
produce so expensive? Too many people. I mean, everything could be most of our problems, not most, but a lot of our problems could lead to this conclusion so easily. Too
Oh,
many
yeah.
people. And I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know how these other people can say these things except for they're purposely denying reality. So they have some agenda.
Yep.
We can probably come pretty close to guessing what Elon's agenda is for that. But some of these other people, I don't know what their agenda is. But if like obviously the president of Japan, they want more consumers. Like this is the thing, right? You want more people buying crap, and you want more people making crap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're one of these people that benefits from the making and selling of crapola, then you
Yeah.
obviously want unlimited people, more
Oh, yeah.
people. We could probably point to a lot of presidents that are into this, and consequently they're telling their people to procreate and we'll give you a
Yeah.
bonus.
I would
But
agree. I was
that-
rich.
that I don't need to be making slaves for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
you call it too many people, they call it market demand.
Yeah,
Market
exactly.
demand.
Exactly.
Right.
I
Because wasn't Elon Musk the one who said that there's not enough people in the world?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
at least he contributes. He's got like 8 kids, so like he stands on
Yeah,
it.
isn't it 12
He's
now?
got
Is it
12.
Yeah, he's
He's
got
got
12
12.
kids.
And Matt
man.
Walsh, rookie
Yeah.
numbers. He's got 3
Yeah.
kids. Rookie numbers, you know.
Rookie numbers.
and then Musk just like recently said that he brought up another thing. He goes, well, Social Security's it's going to dwindle if there's not enough people paying into it. So he's always looking to push that we need more people and we need to procreate button for all kinds of reasons. You know?
I love that clip. He could not describe what Social Security was. I love it. He's like, well, it's kind of like, I guess.
Yeah, and then he's got this agenda, right? He's like, hey, come on, man. I think we all should be making more babies to pay into it. It's like you don't even know what you're talking about, man. You just like babies. You got 12 of them. You want to have babies on Mars and stuff. He's got this obsession with it. It's really like pathological or something.
He's also obsessed with being seen as a gamer. You see that? How he's paid people to get his gamer creds up. And then
can you imagine how fragile your ego is? You are so wealthy and it's not enough. Right? It's not enough. I feel sorry for this person that your ego is so fragile. Like you've been a successful business individual. You have a lot of money, and yet you had to lie about being good at in some sort of little digital playground.
So random people on the internet could like you.
So that random people that you don't even know could admire you.
Like, you're so great, Elon. You're so great.
That's like really disgusting.
Right? You have to go out to these little niche places to get
it's
good
so
in those little places.
It's
too.
so gross, man. It's so gross. You gotta feel sorry for someone like that on some level. What you shouldn't do with someone on that level is allow him into your government inner circles and let him kind of push some buttons in government and make some changes, which is what is going on. Pretty scary.
That's crazy.
I hope we make it through it.
I love how they're teetering on. He's a special government employee, but he's not part of the government. They're
Yeah.
keeping him on that gray line, so he's never touchable. He's a special boy, but he's not that special.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right. Right. Well, we've gone off the rails on all kinds of topics here. I don't know if this is where you wanted to take it. I know you had some weird stuff that you wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about the main thing, because we have talked a lot. I don't know how long we've been going, Alexis?
We're at 37.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
We got around 20 more minutes. So let's talk about some weird stuff. We know you like a lot of weird things. We have a segment called Scam Alert, right? So we're going to do Scam Alert right here with Jonesy. It's the first time we're presenting Scam Alert with another guest since we did it with Gio, right?
Yeah.
We had Gio on the show. I'm sure you are aware of the country of Argentina, and they have their new president who's kind of like Trump, named Javier Milei.
Yeah, basically.
Right?
Okay.
So, and Trump recently launched his own scam coin called Trump, right? The Trump meme coin.
Mm-hmm.
And then his wife dropped Melania. Well, Javier Milei dropped Libra. That the whole country bought into. So like the Trump thing was a private business. This was a part of the country's like currency.
Okay.
And then it got rug pulled. And it got rug pulled.
The gold government.
And the guy who was the main, he calls himself the facilitator. He wasn't a developer. Is holding, I think, $70 million because he says he wants to display the money out, but he's being threatened by everybody in the market. Javier Milei responded to it by saying a few things. He gave, what do you think it is? He goes, it wasn't rug pulled, but also there wasn't a lot of people buying into it, and if people did get scammed and bought into it, it wasn't Argentinian, so it's okay.
Yeah. And he was very specific too, where he goes,
one of those things he can prove.
One of those things. No, but it's all coming back at him,
He can prove that
right?
not a lot of people bought into it or not. I mean, it's a record. There's a record there.
Yeah, there is.
You don't know where they're from. The digital currencies on the blockchain, you don't know where these purchases are from.
That's true.
Really? You're guessing.
You're very much guessing. And what's even funnier is this guy who's holding the money. His name is Hayden Davis. Would it surprise you if I told you he also ran the Trump and Melania rug pulls as well?
So this is like the major pump and dump guy that they go to.
Apparently he's like, I didn't want it to be a rug pull. Yeah, but
as if Argentina didn't have enough problems with their inflation and all of that. They had to deal with this. This is ridiculous. So are they gonna behead this president? Don't they do that down there?
No.
I really love a country that beheads their president.
I gotta bring it back.
I think that would be lovely. I support that.
we just had somebody executed by firing squad.
Oh
recently.
yeah, in
I
Texas,
saw that.
right?
I saw
So
that.
maybe we could do that here.
Voluntarily,
I heard it was
too.
a gory scene.
Oh.
Hey, do you know? So you want to hear something fascinating about firing squads?
Sure. Let's go.
That's
we
a
love
strange
some
thing to say.
degeneracy.
Well, maybe you knew this, but when you're part of a firing squad, when you're firing, some of the guns have blanks in them because they don't want the soldiers to know that they were the ones that actually killed the person. It's a way of sort of removing some guilt from their conscience.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't know if you have one of the ones. You could have a blank. You know, maybe they know that it's a blank because they're professional shooters. Maybe there's a way to tell the difference. But they do put blanks in there, and as part of a firing squad, so that you get into heaven. I guess.
And these guys are chosen randomly, or did they volunteer?
I don't know that much about firing.
They probably
squads.
volunteered. I think I read something about them volunteering.
You gotta be a sick.
They probably they wanted to be the one to kill the
I'll
guy.
bring my own gun too.
What is wrong with you? Off the firing squad, baby.
There's definitely not gonna be any guilt
Woo,
there.
we've had 3 this month.
He's like, squad up, bro. Squad up.
Squad goals.
Yo, there's some fucking Proud Boys that would love to be part of a firing squad. I'm sure a firing squad of brown people. Oh, they would step to that in a minute.
Or Nancy Pelosi. They want to be the only
Sure.
target, you know.
Sick people that we have in our country, man, that would totally be into that. Sadly. Sadly.
They're like, hey, we're on a squad up. We're gonna go hunting. Who are we hunting? Inmates.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For sure.
That's bounty hunting, right?
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, you got
That's
another
crazy.
weird
We have a lot
jam?
of-
What was so you had a few things.
I just had a couple, like, literally just barely, like you do news that goes out there in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
you know?
I love it.
Well, here, let me start with this one because we were talking about egg prices, and also
yeah.
the ceiling is like a bunch of cartons.
That's what
You know,
they
so we were
heard.
looking at that, and well, it's
Impromptu.
it's a quick little where there was an egg heist where
Yeah,
somebody
that's right.
stole 100,000 eggs
What?
Yeah.
off of a big trailer.
Yeah, I covered
And-
this on my podcast.
Yeah,
Did you?
this is the one. Oh,
Weird AF.
okay, okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of basically the egg prices are just getting way too high. You got to go and steal eggs.
Yeah, the black market eggs. People be buying black
Yeah,
market
hey,
eggs.
so
man,
they'd be
that's
cheaper than
Prohibition era.
They'd be
Get you a
cheaper
dozen.
than Food for Less or something.
We're gonna get the cartels to ship us eggs underground. You know, it's gonna be like the
Yeah,
underground
you can see eggs
black
and like
market for eggs.
For the past 3 or 4 weeks, I've been opening my shows with this joke about eggs. It's been, I don't know how much longer I can do it, but I've been asking, hey, you guys struggling in 2025? I've been struggling. Everything is a guy. I got to fight for everything. I'm not gay, but I'd give a hand job out for a dozen eggs. I would.
Oh,
And then I go
damn.
on and on about eggs, how much I miss them. I started looking on Craigslist to buy chickens, like all this sort of.
Yeah.
And the crowd really enjoys it. We're all, a lot of us, we get it. We're suffering from the eggs. I'm not a big, be honest with you, I'm not a big egg guy. I can go without eggs. Eggs aren't like,
Right.
it's not the greatest thing in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I remember like the most poor I've been in my life. I ate a lot of eggs.
Right.
So like
Damn.
eggs kind of reminds me of when I didn't have a lot of money. Like,
Oh,
the most poor I ever was,
A
I was
bad
eating.
time.
I could get eggs.
They got a special
So-
place. in your heart.
So
for
it
eggs.
reminds me. So like everyone freaking out about eggs, I'm kind of like, just don't eat eggs for a while. It's not a
Eggs are
it's not a
good.
problem. I actually didn't eat eggs for after that phase where I was eating them all the time because I was poor. Eggs and ramen. That was my diet pretty much. Eggs was the protein I could afford.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a New York strip. You know what I mean? But I could buy eggs. I didn't eat eggs for like 3 years after that, and my life was, it wasn't really ill affected. It didn't really bring me down. So I think we can go without eggs.
Without eggs.
for a
Yeah.
bit.
Well, eggs are getting more and more expensive.
They are.
every single day, literally.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to evolve your joke from a hand job to a dozen eggs to a blowjob for one single egg.
Yeah, you're right. It is going
Right,
there.
right.
Maybe I should just add that. All
Yeah,
right, man.
you
All right,
should,
look, I'm
yeah.
not trying to rob anybody blind. I'll blow you for one.
I will.
One single
Yeah.
egg.
Blow you for 2 eggs.
2 eggs.
Yeah.
You gotta get the golden eggs too, not the
Oh,
white ones,
damn.
not that white stuff. You gotta get the golden eggs.
We could just, this could also, I didn't think of this till now. This could be an opportunity to just maybe venture out and experiment with eating some different eggs. Why do
You're
we always
right.
got to have chicken eggs? There's other eggs out there.
Oh, that's true.
There's ostrich eggs.
eggs.
Yeah. Snake eggs.
Snake, quail eggs.
Snakes. Quail eggs are like,
They're pretty good, right?
yeah, they're pretty good.
High
I've actually
protein.
had quail eggs before.
Yeah.
I've had duck egg before.
Duck egg. I've
It's
had.
it's popular in Asia. The duck eggs.
Oh, is it where
Yeah.
it's like fully formed in the egg?
The embryo.
no, I
the
don't do
embryo
that.
one?
The
Yeah,
embryo?
that's-
Is that what?
That's the balut. The
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that's the
yeah.
Filipino thing.
Right.
I'm not gonna. I've seen it, but I wouldn't eat that.
You gotta peel it.
For your viewers, the balut is like they in the Philippines they'll eat this. The egg has the chicken's like almost fully formed inside to the point where It's got the bones and some little tiny baby feathers.
Yeah.
And the eyes.
Yeah.
And the eyes and stuff, and they
Oh,
eat the whole
God.
thing. They eat the whole chicken. I'm like, I couldn't do that.
Those are also boiled, right?
I seen one
I
with
don't
that.
know.
That's an image of it where the
crazy.
head's like actually coming out of the egg.
Oh
you
my
know?
goodness,
yeah,
man!
dude.
I saw that.
Very juicy.
I went to the museum. I also
Ooh.
this was a weird thing that I really enjoyed. It was a pop up here in LA. It was called the Museum of Disgusting Food.
Oh,
It was so cool, man. I wish they would bring it back. This was like, I don't know, 5 years ago. The Museum of Disgusting Food, and they had showcased a lot of gross food from around the world, and they had balut there. That was the first time I
Oh,
saw it
man.
with my own eyes.
Oh,
Was there
man.
before, and then I've traveled to Asia before, and I've seen it over there. But yeah, I saw it at the Museum of Disgusting Food, and one of the things they had at the Museum of Disgusting Food was a tasting bar.
Oh,
And so
no.
they offered some of the things that you could have. Nothing crazy, but like a lot of the bugs were available. You could eat a bunch
a
of
lot
bugs.
of them is bugs. Yeah.
Some very gross cheeses. Like there's some really nasty ass cheese out there that like really smells like ass. Like it smells worse than ass. It smells so bad. So this happened. First of all, when you go to the museum, when you went to the Museum of Disgusting Food, your ticket was a barf bag. That was your ticket. They give you everybody get a
Interesting.
barf bag, right? I thought it was a joke. Oh, like who's gonna use this, right? So when I was there, a young boy used the barf bag, threw up at the tasting bar, not from a bug, from a stinky cheese.
Really?
Stinky cheese made him throw his cookies in this bag.
His cookies.
It was surprising to me.
Oh,
That's how
man.
bad this cheese smelled. Also they had durian. You could try durian, but yeah. So
Oh, the
how did we
durian
get on
fruit.
this? Oh,
That's
balut.
right.
Yeah, we're talking about balut.
Yeah.
Eggs. Yeah,
Man, eggs are expensive.
quail eggs.
Quail eggs. I've never
Yeah.
tried any. Well, I've had the egg alternatives. You know, where it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's like the thing in the little egg, in the little milk carton. You pour it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I've had that.
Egg alternatives.
The
Yeah.
egg alternatives.
I've
yeah.
only seen
Yeah, what was
the
that
egg
brand?
whites.
What's up?
I've only seen the egg whites in the cartons. I've never seen alternative.
Yeah, they'll have one that's you look in. It's like a yellow liquid. It's what do they call that? There was a brand I used to use. That's cheap too. That was really cheap. I remember living off that for a while too.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
My grandma bought it a lot.
Yeah, it was really
She got the
cheap.
Kroger brand though, so it's like super
Ah.
cheap. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's super cheap. I don't know if it's how much of that is real egg.
I don't think any of it's
I
really.
know,
I think
it's
it's like a lot of butter, like red
Oh,
butter,
okay.
and milk, and
For some reason, I thought it was part
like
egg.
a
I don't know.
concoction
wow.
of unholy things to make an
Yeah.
egg, like a
Yeah.
hot dog. You
It's
know,
all made in the
It's
lab.
like a hot dog.
right.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've
That's
never seen
crazy.
how hot dogs made.
It's just a bunch of like parts that are grounded up and then shaped.
Yeah, I don't think you should watch that.
You shouldn't.
yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah,
Same with chicken nuggets and stuff.
yeah. That's
It's
not
all
good.
pretty f***ing bad.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a conversation of people pointing out how there's no actual thing as boneless wings. It's all a lie. Like
Really?
it's just like it's just the oven, like the breast is just cut up into pieces, and they call it a wing so they can sell you something new.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's not a
Ah.
wing.
Yeah, because the wings have bones.
Yeah, wings
know?
have bones. And,
Imagine just a meaty chicken with
Yeah.
no bones. He's just like
Mm.
his wings are
And-
actual just
Yeah,
meat.
that's why I don't
and
eat
wings
boneless.
aren't all white meat either. Wings are like a mixture of dark and white
Especially
meat.
when
right?
they get beat. You can see all
Yeah.
those chickens with bruises on them.
Sure.
Have you realized you've been lied to, Jay, about this?
Yeah, I feel like I've been lied to a lot. You know, just gotta figure out what it was that it was being lied to about.
I covered a story on Weird AF News about this wing thing where someone took a place to court
Yeah.
because they were arguing that these can't be called wings. You imagine like all this production and all these lawmakers getting together to spend this time, right? And there's real problems in the world, and they're dealing with like, well, technically these aren't really wings. Well, maybe what should we call it? We need to change it. Well, let's have a meeting about this. Let's spend taxpayer dollars deciding whether or not these are legally called wings because some citizen had to be an asshole and sue Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever.
Yes, it was Buffalo.
Yeah,
Wild Wings.
yeah.
Because you can't call these wings, man. 'Cause they're not, you know what I mean? Like, meanwhile, like, they're delicious. Shut the fuck up, man.
Just don't go there.
Take down Buffalo. I know, but they're like, you know, these Karens out there.
They're
that
looking for problems.
they think that they're contributing to the culture, but they're not. They're doing us all a disservice because the next thing you know, Buffalo Wild Wings is bankrupt because you sued them, you know, because of some language on a menu. So meanwhile, they got a good product. Shut up and eat it.
Yeah, it's one particular guy who I know of. I believe he did that one, and he did another one. He likes to file a lot of the times are frivolous lawsuits, like they get tossed out, but other times it does force companies to stick to what they're selling. So, like, I think he also sued Fruit Loops for calling themselves Fruit Loops, but there's no actual fruit in them.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like
no
all-
fruit.
Oh.
Yeah, it's artificial.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's the same person, but I know someone was suing or has sued multiple cases, instances of this probably, where they say the hamburger doesn't look like the picture
Yes.
Oh.
at a fast food joint.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, so
Yeah.
they'll sue because it doesn't look like the thing. Well, who
That's
expects it to look like?
ridiculous.
It never looks like the thing.
You seen the story
I
with
don't expect it to look like the thing. I don't, so I never go there anyways.
If it's my brother making the
Yeah.
burger, sometimes he serves it without the bun.
Yeah, there you go. It's very disproportionate. But it's just like the Red Bull one too, where they have their motto Red Bull
Wings, yeah.
gives you wings,
Yeah.
and they got sued for that because
'Cause they
someone was
don't-
really like, it doesn't fucking make me fly, it doesn't give me wings.
Oh, it doesn't make me fly.
And I was like, that's fucking
It
ridiculous.
doesn't give me wings. Can you believe that?
Yeah, at some point it has to be common sense. Like, guy, really?
No, but I do enjoy. I don't like because I think advertising is evil, right? It's pretty evil,
Yeah.
right? But it's not like, no one's walking around believing though that Red Bull gives you wings,
That person did.
right? Maybe like a 3-year-old, or I don't know.
This is
So like suing Red Bull, like there's other instances where your effort could be better spent. Like
oh, yeah.
products that really aren't true are
Yeah.
being marketed. Take these motherfuckers down. Like you
Oh,
call
yeah.
yourself a juice. You're not a juice.
Yeah.
You're not a potato chip. You're a potato-like substance.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
like
yeah, yeah.
Subway's
You know what I
not
mean?
a foot
And
long.
most of your product, we can find many of these where it's just all corn syrup, and it's killing people, right?
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
crazy.
you can go after them for that. Don't be like, oh, Red Bull says it gives you wings. There's companies out there that, what Red Bull's really doing, because there's a lot of corn syrup in that. You go after Red Bull because they're giving people diabetes on a daily basis. Now, yes, let's talk about that, and let's punish Red Bull for that. Not because they say they give you wings and they don't. I mean, that's just fucking childish to me.
I bet they prefer that. I bet they prefer it.
Yeah, because it takes it's a distraction from what they're really doing,
Oh, yeah.
which is creating a landscape of diabetes for a certain population
Yeah.
because it's all high fructose corn syrup and that
Right.
is horrible for you.
They
Yeah.
sell themselves not as a drink, but as a supplement so they can add more caffeine legally.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's all of these things they're doing that are nefarious, but you're going after them for the commercial of the guy, the little drawing of the dude. We've all seen that, right? He grows
Yeah.
wings and and they're like, hey, don't do that.
He's like, I jumped off a building and I fell. You didn't give me any wings.
Yeah, it didn't make me fly, man. And then
You got us.
and then they limp down to the courthouse because their diabetic foot had to be removed 3 months earlier from all the Red Bull they drank.
Oh,
but they
man.
don't complain about that. They complain about the tricky wings that aren't available.
They put the neck brace on and the eye patch, like, I lost my
Yeah.
eye, whatever. They got the bruised makeup on,
Yeah. My point is, these companies are way more evil than that. That's
Yeah.
just like not even scratching the surface, man. Like really go after them for what they're really doing wrong. And it's not that the
Right.
food doesn't look like what it is there. It's that the food, it's poison, man. Oh, the
Yeah.
food is poison.
I mean, you do realize that everything they do in America is like experimental here. But if you look at the ingredients everywhere else, like in other countries and stuff, it's like shortened by so much.
It's not even the same, man.
It's not the same
I
product.
mean, I go to McDonald's. I've been to McDonald's in Singapore. I've been to McDonald's in Malaysia. I've been to McDonald's in Japan. It's not even close to the food that's being served at the McDonald's over here. It's really not even close.
You can taste the difference.
100%. 100%. Now, I'm not saying it's the healthiest thing,
Right.
but I don't feel like it's not the same experience. at
Not
all.
in comparison to
bad.
McDonald's in
Yeah.
America,
Yeah.
it's not the
or,
same.
Or
You-
Subway. You've seen
Even the
Subway?
people in there, man, like you see the people in a McDonald's in Singapore, they're like they just don't look like the people that go to McDonald's here.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
There's-
about.
There's people going to McDonald's on a date
Mm,
over there.
Yeah.
It's like a nice experience.
It's like a fancy restaurant.
Like
know?
you could
Yeah.
take
Nice
your
lighting.
apparently you could take your date to McDonald's over there, and your date wouldn't be like, "What the f- is wrong with you?" Where you wouldn't do that here, right? You wouldn't take because it's low. It's like low class. It's low quality.
Right.
But over there, it's not low class, and it's really not that low quality either. So it's like it's used as a date destination. It surprised me.
Unless you're Adam Levine. He
But
took
it's-
his wife on their first date.
Did he really?
Yeah.
McDonald's here in America.
Yeah, in
Wow.
America. Yeah.
Interesting.
Singer of Maroon
While he
5.
was
that
rich
so
already?
if anybody, and he's a single man now, right? He just got divorced. So if you want to date Adam Levine, you just gotta accept that that Happy Meal. You know that $6 McDouble deal. That's what you gotta get as your first date.
Oh God.
It isn't $6 anymore. It's like $20.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they're having a special right now.
What's
you
the
know?
special?
It's like a $6 McDouble, so you get like nuggets, fries, a drink, and then the burger
McDonald's
itself.
like the tiny
yeah.
little shitty burger.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's the McDouble. That's basically the
You got
McDouble.
no
yeah.
nutrition in that. It's all
But-
cardboard.
But like I always like telling you, I always tell Jay, I'm not about that organic stuff. I like when my food is made by a guy in a lab coat.
Yeah.
That's
You
my
like
favorite.
that,
Yeah,
huh?
That's a
yeah,
lab
that's my
grown.
favorite.
You're
You
in the right country, bro.
Oh yeah.
He's living his life.
Pour water on it and it grows into a
Ah.
burger. You know.
Moment of silence for your arteries. We wish him luck. We wish you luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I mean, I have confidence in Jay once I'm gone that he can run the show after.
I'll try to, man.
In the
But
next
again,
few
I don't know.
years.
All this stuff that I'm consuming might take me out early too.
All the smog that we inhale. You know, we're
Yeah, all
basically
the
part smog now.
All those microplastics in my blood and shit.
Yeah,
That's a real problem. For sure. I mean, we might be bringing down your listeners and depressing the shit out of them right
I
now.
love it.
But I think about these nanoplastics in my brain and in my balls often now. You know, often I think about it,
Crazy.
and it's very alarming.
You know what? Surprisingly, this is probably the lightest episode we've ever
Yeah.
had. You know, this is probably the first episode we didn't talk about pedophiles. So
Yeah.
So you really go
Oh,
grimy.
Oh, we
Oh,
really
we're-
pushed that.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how we talked about cynicism? Yeah, that's what this show's all about.
Got it.
our expertise.
Got it. All right. Well, we didn't go there.
Yeah, no, it's super
Yeah,
light.
no, no,
People are
no.
This
gonna,
is pretty light.
they're gonna feel refreshed. They
This
go,
is
"Wow, I
very
had a great day
light.
today."
Yeah.
When I saw the podcast, it was super
What a
light.
Casual, what a
Hopefully
casual
they're-
conversation.
Hopefully they're learning a lot. You know. That's
Oh yeah, I
I
think so.
think so, I
That's
think
what
so.
I was gonna bring up about why people don't sue about the things you're talking about. Is because they don't realize that's actually happening. They
yeah,
just
you think they just don't get it, right?
Exactly.
It's just not happening.
only what they see. So they see on the commercial it looks
Yeah.
one way, and they get a tiny burger. They go, "That's
Yeah.
not how it looks."
Yeah,
They don't know what it's made of, and they're not gonna read it because they
Yeah.
can't read most of the words it's made of. You
Who's
know.
getting
You're
dumber
right.
and
You're
dumber.
right.
So-
And you know the what's that with the food? The food affects you over longer periods of time too, so you don't really notice like a super change right away. Like, oh, I ate this food. Although sometimes if you eat really clean and you eat McDonald's, you'll feel it.
Oh yeah.
You'll feel it. But these people have been doing it for a long, long time. They don't notice
Yeah.
those sorts of changes. So like you said, they notice. Oh, look at that, and then they just go with they're running with that.
So-
And a lot of them are just like, they're just chasing a buck here.
Yeah.
Know, just trying to
Yeah.
get rich. Sadly, in this litigious society we live in, there's a lot of lawyers out there that are like, we'll take these cases, and everyone trying to get rich without working. This is what happens.
And the customers are like, "Why am I out of breath so soon? I must not be sleeping well."
Yeah.
You know?
It's always something
Sure.
else,
You
yeah.
know?
Yep. Yep. Or it's because of the Democrats are in office. That's why.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
probably.
yeah.
There's always something.
It's all Joe Biden's fault. I blame Joe
Everything
Biden.
Joe Biden's fault.
Yeah, it's his fault.
Not Grandpa Biden.
Yep.
Before we go, you got one more story, Jay?
Yeah, you got another
You
story,
wanna pull
Jay?
another one? I'll put
Yeah.
another one.
Let's
Hey,
get
Yeah,
one
yeah,
more
yeah.
before we go.
It's random. Last one. Basically, it's just a dumb one. A guy was found in his house. He unfortunately passed away. And they're trying to figure out how this guy passed away. He has a stab wound. There's a knife there. And they found him like a day later or whatever. But it turns out this guy was trying to test his jacket. He was trying to test his basically his blade-proof jacket. But instead of putting it on a pillow or something else, he decided he would wear it and stab himself.
This is the Darwin Award you're talking
Yeah.
about.
This is the Darwin
This
Award.
is a perfect candidate for
This
the
is-
Darwin Award.
This is, yeah, so,
You stab yourself.
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe he was also testing his skin too, see how durable that is. You know.
But they found him like 2 days later. His wife was off on like
Yeah.
vacation or whatever. She comes back. Honestly, her statement, she doesn't seem surprised. She really doesn't. She just goes, yeah, he was trying to, last time I saw him before I got on the trip, he was trying to test. He was wondering if his jacket was,
Wow.
blade proof.
Yeah.
And now we know it's not. So don't trust that person who sold you the jacket.
Ah,
Moral of the story.
that's how I tested the airbags on my car. too.
Crash your car.
I just
Go
drive
crash.
into a tree. Just want to see if they work.
You come out. Oh, they're good. They
Very
work.
good. Yeah.
There's so many of these stories and I cover these idiots. I've been doing this podcast, Weird AF News, now for a number of years, and these stories of stupidity that I come across, I'm kind of getting tired of doing it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
You know, because it's never ending.
Yeah.
And it's so dumb, and you just feel sorry for you. You just feel sorry for how dumb we've become in this country.
It's like the movie Idiocracy.
It's
That's where
like-
we're
it's
heading
like-
to.
It's like Idiocracy is
Yeah.
really playing itself
Yeah.
out. You know, it really seems that way, and
You
it's
do.
so sad. It's so sad. And I always make fun of these dummies on my podcast, but somewhere deep inside, like I feel like I shed a tear, man. I shed a tear for where we're at. It's really bad.
We're
Like
snowballing bad.
it's a really dumb culture.
And the 70% of the dumbest stories we tell come from Florida.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like the
And all these are-
epicenter of stupidity.
Yeah, they're always surprising every single time.
What do I say? There's something in the water over
Yeah,
there.
it's something
There's
Yeah.
got to
in
be
Florida.
something
These
in the
people are
water.
just built different.
It's really bad. And, you know, on Weird AF News, every Friday, I do Florida Friday. So I only do weird news from Florida on Friday. And I started that out as like just trying it out. I'm like, this probably won't last because I'll run out of Florida man news.
Oh, man.
Like, because I want to make sure that I did Florida man news from that week. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you could go get the greatest hits that are out there. We all know, you know, Florida man
Always with
tells a
alligators.
bunch of kids in the playground where babies come from
Oh,
while
see
smoking
that
crack or whatever.
Yeah.
Florida man smokes crack and tells kids in the playground where babies come from. Like, there's these classic headlines, but
Yeah.
they're older. You know, I wanted to see, could I do it every week?
Yeah.
Is there enough Florida news coming out every week? And now, 4 years later, or whatever it is, maybe 5 years of Florida Fridays, it's still coming every week. There's
And
still
no repeats, right?
it never ends, man.
Definitely.
Like, it's always insane stuff every week. Like, I could just keep doing this forever. I could do Florida Friday forever. It just always comes out. There's
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
stories each week where I'll do four. I usually do four. There'll be 4 stories coming out of Florida that are wild every goddamn week.
So
Man.
you did 4. We had
Yeah.
a segment called Florida Man, and we did 2 every week, and then we just kind of stopped because we did an entire hour episode. We did like 12 stories, but we just kind of stopped because it wasn't getting any views and there was no engagement. So like, should we keep doing this segment? It's getting kind of monotonous. Everybody's doing the same stupid
Yeah.
thing over and over.
Yeah,
so we
there's-
just had like a whole hour
Uh-huh.
of doing it, and we just kind of left it there.
Uh-huh.
But if
And-
people want it back, we'll bring it back. But
So you didn't get a good, you didn't get a lot of views on it or positive feedback.
only
from
2 really took
data.
off. One was like
Okay.
there was a couple trapped in a closet
Oh, yeah.
that was unlocked
Yeah, they were trapped for 2 days. 2 days straight.
for 2 days straight. There was they pissed and
We didn't
and-
think to push it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was
Turn the doorknob.
they called police, and police just opened the door.
Yeah, they just turned the knob. I was like, wow, you didn't think to turn the fucking knob.
The article kind of
Unbelievable.
assumes these people were on drugs
Yeah.
because of the what is it called, the skating pad.
Yeah, they found something on. They didn't find actual drugs, but they found the tools for smoking the drugs.
Yeah, we call that drug paraphernalia.
Yeah, drug paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia.
Yeah.
And if you go to my my merchant site, you can buy a Weird AF News T-shirt that says drug paraphernalia on it. It's one of the catchphrases on my show.
I love that.
Drug
on the
paraphernalia.
Florida Friday episode.
Florida
'Cause I
Fri-
always go, and guess what? They found the guy with. They found this Florida man with, say it with me, guys, drug. And I just imagine everybody in their home listening, going paraphernalia. So
Drug
we always say that paraphernalia.
And the first story we did that took off was this man took his stereo system and blared NWA's F the Police outside a police station.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
covered that
Covered
story. I
that one,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I
Parked in a
love his
handicap spot,
mugshot
yeah.
is the best.
Yeah.
I still have that in my gallery. His mugshot.
He's very content.
Those mugshots. That's something I would say. That's something my podcast lacks because it's audio only.
Mhm.
So you don't get to really see the mugshots of these people. But occasionally, when I come across a very good mugshot, I'll stick it in my Patreon
Nice.
because I got a
okay.
Patreon and I got about 150 patrons in there. So
Awesome.
I try to keep putting stuff in there for them to see. You know, clips of my stand-up comedy or whatever. I do bonus episodes of the show specifically for the Patreon so that
That's
they feel like they're getting something extra. But I'll put some of those great mugshots in there because that
Oh,
you got to
yeah.
see that these people look. I mean, this stuff is out of control, man. What these people look like. That one Florida man that they put on the video game, on the.
Oh yeah, get Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yeah,
yeah,
There's that famous Florida man who I think he's got Florida man on his forehead.
yeah.
And then he tried to sue them
for doing it.
For doing it, saying that that's him, and he wanted some royalties or something from the game. I don't know how that worked itself out, but yeah, like that guy's mugshot is like classic.
It's
Yeah.
insane.
It's
Oh,
classic.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
obviously where they got the idea. Like that guy's mugshot, he looks insane. He's got Florida Man tattooed across his forehead or whatever.
And you know he might just be right, so they're probably gonna
Yeah.
just like smear it or something.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah, the Florida stories, man. They just when you think they're gonna end, they just don't end. They get wild. They get wilder and wilder.
Yeah.
You can probably make a daily series on the Florida Man
Yeah, you
news.
probably could.
And
You could
but at that
probably
point
do
you're
it-
just
Yeah.
At that point you're just a news station for Florida.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You could do it. You know, I do it every Friday, and it never ends. So I
Never
wouldn't
ends.
want to do it every day. I get kind of sick of it because a lot of it is just another dumb criminal. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Or like
People
that guy who dropped his like the kid of a girl he was seeing out of a 3-story building.
Yeah, two
Right? He was like dangling him over a window and he dropped him.
And
Yeah.
he landed on his head and he was like totally fine. The kid was totally fine.
Yeah.
Then the same like another dude in Florida who fell like 60 feet from a branch, hit a lower branch, landed in the water and had nothing but like a scratch.
These Florida people are super endurant, you know.
well, I mean, when you're running on meth, I mean, you're bulletproof, man.
Oh
These
yeah.
people are bulletproof.
You've seen crackheads do backflip off like
Mhm.
2-story buildings.
or they lifting the cars up, you know.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
crackhead strength.
Maybe they don't want you doing meth because you'd be like a better person or something physically. Not mentally, obviously. That goes out the window. But it's a trade-in for your
It's
physical
super
self.
soldier
Sure, you
serum.
want to be a superhero.
Super soldier serum. you know?
It's crack.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on, Jonesy. It was great.
I had a great time hanging out
Awesome.
with you guys. I just want to say, if your listeners kind of connected with anything I've said or the way that I say it, you would enjoy my podcast.
Yeah, make
I
sure you
think,
guys
which
go
is
and
weird,
follow him.
called Weird AF News, and it's available on all podcast players and YouTube. It's an audio only format, and it's 5 days a week. I do weird news from around the world. On Friday, just weird news from Florida, and just hit 5 million downloads recently.
That's awesome. Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
And
Good
thank
job.
you.
Applause.
And about to hit 2,000 episodes.
that's
So-
beautiful.
Wow.
Which is
we're gonna
crazy.
get there soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Right
yeah,
on
you're
100.
gonna get. How many you got?
30. This is
30.
30,
All
yeah.
right. Hey,
Yeah.
come on. 60 more years of this.
Oh, snap.
of degeneracy going
We'll
strong.
be there. We'll be there.
And
We'll
all the
see.
links to Jonesy's materials, his YouTube channel, his Patreon will all be in the links down below.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
forget to subscribe to our Patreon to get the uncensored version of this episode and get it 2 days early, along with our new sets that we're putting up for Nighttime is Nightingale at Nightingale. 30-minute full set. So if you like what you saw with the one song, you can get the full sets on there. Jonesy, it was a pleasure having you on. We
Thank you.
appreciated the time.
Yes.
No, I appreciate you reaching out to me. Thank you. This was great.
Thank you.
And what we
Yeah,
have a saying
and-
ourselves. We have a catchphrase
yeah.
every show where we end it off by telling the audience not to be
yeah,
a chump.
not to be a damn chump.
Yeah, don't be a
Don't
chump.
be a chump.
Don't
and
be
then
a
you do
chump.
this.
And we do
Yes,
that.
Yeah.
No chumps allowed here.
Yeah, no chump. The no chump zone. Anti-chump zone.
No
Anti-chump
chumps
zone.
allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get a sign so people don't know. But
Exactly.
we
Well,
gotta
we'll
do
put
it
a
for
neon
now.
sign that says no
Yeah.
anti-chump zone,
Very
and we just
bright.
go,
It's gonna be.
don't be a chump, you know?
I love that.
So until next time, everybody,
Yep.
don't be a chump.
Don't be a chump.
Bye-bye now.